All right, let's just jump right into it. We're going to tackle a question that hits really close to home for a lot of parents, and it might even feel a little taboo to ask out loud. In the absolute chaos of family life, who really comes first, your partner or your kids?
Seriously, just think about it for a second. Your last few conversations with your partner, what were they about? School schedules? Doctor's appointments? Whose turn it is to handle pickup? I mean, if you're nodding along right now, feeling like your entire relationship has basically turned into a logistics company for your children, you are definitely not alone. And the text we're looking at today actually has a name for this.
It's called the Familia Infantocentrica, which basically means the child-centered family. The source describes this as a kind of sad modern thing that happens where a couple gets so laser-focused on the kids that their own bond just starts to fade. The romance is gone, and suddenly you're not partners anymore. You're just co-managers of Project Kid. Okay, so how do you fix that? How do you get out of that co-manager trap? Well, to fight this kids project mindset, the source text we're digging into proposes a very clear, and honestly, for a lot of people, a really controversial hierarchy for family life. It's an idea that's going to challenge what a lot of us think parenting is all about.
And here's where we get to the core of it. The way most of us think, right? The common view is kids are number one, period. Their needs come before everything else. But this text, it just flips that idea completely on its head. It argues that for the real, deep-down stability of the whole family, that bond between the couple, that has to be the top priority.
And it's not vague either. The text gets super specific about this. It lays out this hierarchy of commitment, and it goes like this. Number one, God. Number two, your spouse. And then, and only then, number three, your children. The really key thing to notice here, the part that makes you go, whoa, is that the spouse is placed deliberately before the kids.
So why would they argue that? Well, this quote really explains the why. The main idea is that a kid's sense of security, it doesn't just come from knowing mom and dad love them. It comes from seeing day in and day out that mom and dad love each other. That solid, loving partnership, that's the foundation their whole world is built on.
Now, here's a phrase that might make you wince a little. The source calls children temporary guests in your home. I know that sounds kind of harsh, right? But the logic is all about the long-term view. They're going to grow up, they're going to build their own lives, and they're going to leave. Your spouse, that's the person who's with you for the whole ride. They're the one who stays.
So what happens if you ignored that long-term view? What if the couple just gets totally lost in the weeds of parenting? Well, this text doesn't just talk about the good stuff. It also lays out a really stark warning about what can happen if you get this wrong.
The source uses this really cool metaphor of two gardens. Imagine you have a marital garden, that's your relationship with your partner, and right next to it, you have the paternity garden, that's your relationship with your kids. And the warning is super clear. If you spend all your time, all your water, all your energy on just one of those gardens, the other one is going to wither and die. It just has to. And that withered garden, that leads straight to what's called Síndrome del Niño Vacío, or empty nest syndrome. We've all heard of it, right? It's that exact moment the source paints so clearly. The last kid is gone, off to college or starting their own life, and suddenly it's just the two of you, sitting in a quiet house, looking at each other like strangers, and realizing you have absolutely nothing to talk about anymore. Nothing except the kids, who aren't there. All right, that's kind of heavy, I know, but the good news is, after pointing out the problem and all the risks, the text doesn't just leave you hanging. It gives us a really practical, hands-on toolkit. It tells you how to start tending that marital garden again by setting some really healthy boundaries. It suggests 3 specific things you can do. Number 1, take back your nights. Set a non-negotiable bedtime for the kids, and after that, the house is for the adults. It's your time. Number 2, protect your space. The couple's bed is described as an exclusive island. It's for you too. Of course, there are exceptions for nightmares or when they're sick, but the rule is, it's your space. And number 3, be intentional. Actually schedule a kid-free hour day once a month. It doesn't have to be fancy. Even a drive to get a coffee counts. It's just about reconnecting as partners, not just parents.
Okay, that all sounds great on paper, right? But let's be real, when you're exhausted, where do you even start? Well, the source gives us a super simple, really powerful way to kick this off. Like today.
The first step is not planning some epic week-long vacation. It's sending one text, just one, to a grandparent, a friend you trust, anyone. And you're not asking for the world. Just, hey, could you watch the kids for maybe 2 hours this weekend? The whole point is to take one tiny, concrete step, to just carve out a little sliver of time that's yours.
And then, Once you have that little bit of time, this is the really important part. You actually sit down, you look your partner in the eye, and you say it out loud. You are my priority. You declare it. Because saying those words, making that verbal commitment, that's a huge step in starting to rebuild.
You know, it all circles back to this one simple idea. It's just a reminder of the timeline of your life together. You were a couple before you were parents, and if you nurture that relationship, you'll still be a couple long after the kids are grown and gone. Taking care of that we is the ultimate long-term investment.
So there you have it. The source lays out the problem, the warning, and some real practical solutions. And it leaves us with this one final, really thought-provoking question to chew on. Could it be that a strong, stable, loving marriage is actually the single greatest gift you can ever give your children? It's definitely something to think about.